What's up, y'all? I'm still out here at the range, as you can see behind me, on this cold, windy day. We just now clicked over the freezing point, but it's still cold out here with this wind blowing, and it's gonna get a little bit colder because here I'm getting ready to lose my son there behind that pine tree for the next hour or so. So I'm definitely bundled up to get this testing done. I've gotten one done so far, and this one right here should be a really interesting 32 Smith Wesson Long test. So we've got the jelly contraption out here trying to stay warm with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now again, I've done one test so far. I kept it all on the back side. I'll leave a link above if y'all hadn't seen that, but plenty of room to get this one right here done. Like I always mention, I've got a heavy clothing barrier on front with a layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And for this one here, we're checking out something a little bit unusual. It is some more Sellier and Bellot stuff, unfortunately, so it's probably not the best example of this, but what we got here is some 32 Smith & Wesson Long Wadcutters. Now these are 100 grain Wadcutters. Here's a look at your projectile, brass case with that Wadcutter projectile. Now if y'all aren't familiar, you can see there, barely anything sticks out. You've got just a little bit of a dome there, but more or less you've got a sharp edge all around. Now the main purpose for these Wadcutters are paper target practice or competitions. That way when you go to score your hits, that you make a nice sharp circle cut out on the paper. But I know some people do like to use Wadcutters for defensive purposes, especially in kind of lower energy calibers like this 32 Smith & Wesson Long and stuff like that. So we're gonna test it out and see what it does today. And believe it or not, I've actually got a couple different barrel lengths to test these out of. For the first one, for the short barrel, we're gonna use this 2-inch barrel Taurus 327, and then for a 3-inch, I've got my Smith & Wesson Model 31-1 here. I don't even think I've ever done a video with this one here. This is among one of my oldies. I think these 31-1s are from the 60s is when this stuff was manufactured, so should be a nice little test from the 3-inch anyway. And then I almost forgot to mention the ballistics on this stuff. It's not impressive at all. They're saying 735 feet per second, so that's only going to give you like 120 foot-pounds of energy, and that is saying from a 6-inch barrel, so that's a far cry from what we've got here, but maybe we'll get somewhere close to that. So we're probably not going to be seeing anything incredible on this one right here, but it should be pretty interesting. Let's get it all set up and see what happens. All right, let's see how fast this stuff's moving from the shorter barrels. I'm going to do a 5-round average from each one, starting with this 2-inch first. Now remember, the ballistics, they're saying it's 735 from a 6-inch, so we're probably going to be a far cry from that. You will see multiple readings from this lab radar. The large one is from the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. First one there is set for 3 yards, which is where the gel is here at 10 feet, and then I've got the others set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Let's see what these light, small boys can do out of these short barrels. Ooh, that feels like a pop gun. 680. That's crazy. 672. That was 75 yards. 667. I didn't get a reading there. And then I didn't reset. Well, it did get it anyway. 671. Let me grab one more. All right, last one here. And 682, so seems like it was pretty consistent. Well, this is some pretty doggone weak stuff. Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average right there was 675 feet per second. We had an extreme spread of 15 with a 6.4 standard deviations. So really, really nice consistent stuff. That is, of course, what you'd want to see with this stuff being target or competition type load. So nice consistency. 675, I mean, at least we don't have to worry about any kind of expansion, because we sure wouldn't get it right here. Our best friend on this is going to be shot placement and penetration. But let's get it reset and see what the 3-inch does. All right, let's see what the old 3-inch 31-1 can do with these things. This feels so weak. 661, 671, 666, 662, and 668. I mean, this stuff is just so soft, y'all. Let's check out the average here. All right, once again, some incredible consistency from this stuff. That time we had a 5-round average, actually a little bit lower than the shorter barrel, of 666. Our extreme spread was 9 with a 4 standard deviation, so very, very nice on that consistency. 666, and if y'all remember out of the 2-inch, it was 675, so we actually got 9 feet per second more average from the shorter barrel for whatever reason, that right there tells me that this stuff is just loaded how it is. You only got so much case capacity to work with this 32, plus you're smashing a wad cutter down in it. I don't think there's any way this stuff is hitting those 735 even out of a 6-inch barrel. So once again, with this low energy and knowing that you're not getting any kind of expansion, shot placement and penetration is absolutely going to be key with this stuff. But let's get it all reset, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's can they cut more than paper jelly time. I'm gonna put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with the 2-inch first. I don't have a lot of hope in these. I'll just tell you right now, even as far as penetration, I mean, I know we ain't got to worry about expansion, but this stuff is sub 100 foot-pounds of energy, so I don't have much hope in even getting any kind of decent. All right, I see it in the gel. Let me go see what we got. All right, y'all, that little old wad cutter tried to show us something down there. That's actually very surprising at the penetration we got for such low velocity, but that's one of the good things about, y'all know, a flat nose projectile. You do get that extra penetration, and that's one of the reasons that people do like to use these wad cutters for defensive purposes. So I guess I should have known, but with this weak energy, I didn't expect much. Let's see what this one does. All right, that should have been another perfect one. Let's go check these things out. All right, let's check this stuff out down here, y'all. Really surprised by what I'm seeing right here. Again, you know, the flat nose projectile I've tested myself in the past. It definitely has more expansion than a round. But again, with this low energy, I mean, we're teetering right there, just barely under or just barely over 100 foot-pounds. So I didn't really expect much, but this is actually some nice penetration from both of these. So the first one is right here on the top. That was from the 2-inch Taurus. As you can see, I don't think these things tumbled at all. That's another good thing about the flat nose. It keeps them stabilized. I mean, these are meant again for competition stuff, so you would expect them to be stable and accurate. So come in here, I don't think there was any kind of tumbling. Nice expansion from it. It looks like, I would say, probably right at 12, 13 even, maybe a little bit more. And of course, no expansion because it's a solid chunk of lead. And then up under that, and then it curved up a little bit over there. It's behind it. That was the one from the 3-inch 31-1. Once again, very, very nice here. Doesn't look like we got any tumbling. Nice little bit of disruption all the way through this first block. And this one actually has a little bit more as far as the penetration. This one looks to be right at about 15 inches. Now it's sitting here sideways, but I'm pretty sure that just happened with the rebound and knocked it sideways, because neither one of these show any kind of signs of tumbling. And then as far as penetration, which is absolute high priority in this case here, the one on the top from the 2-inch Taurus is at exactly 12.5 inches. So nice right there. And then the one from the 3-inch is at 14.5 inches. So very, very nice penetration for both of those, being a 100-grain projectile with right around 100 foot-pounds of energy. And here's your close-up look. Again, top is 2-inch, bottom is 3-inch. You can see there, it doesn't look like any tumbling at all happened. There's one projectile, and then there's the other one. And then looking from the top, basically the same kind of story. We'll follow them both through here. Very nice penetration for what these things are. And then there you see the projectiles. All right, let's check out these hole punching projectiles, y'all. This one right here was from the 3-inch. This one was from the 2-inch. Now, this one had this cloth on the end just like that one, but the way I had to pull it out, it slid off. But I kept this on here just to show y'all, and that's what it does with paper targets too. But even a cleaner hole, you can see, even with all those layers of cloth there, I mean, that's fairly a clean hole. Now, it kind of tore through there, obviously, because it was cloth, but that gives you an idea of what it would do on a paper target. Nice, nice clean hole, so it's easy to score in whatever zone they're in. But other than that, they look identical. No kind of deformation. You can see a little pattern on the front from the denim there. And then when you look in the back, these things are hollowed out quite a bit of distance down there. You probably can't even see down in the bottom because it's a deep, deep cavity right there. So you basically got just a partially hollowed out lead cylinder. But let's get us some measurements on them and see what we got. The weight started at 100 grains. This one from the 2-inch is at 99.6 grains, so nothing lost there, pure manufacturing tolerances. This one from the 3-inch 31-1 is also 99.6 grains, so absolutely nothing lost from either of these. Obviously, they didn't do anything to lose material. And then for the sizes, we'll do a diameter and length on them. You got 314 right here with a length of 625, 310 on this one with a length of 613. And there you go, y'all, the S&W 32 Smith Wesson Long wad cutters. Really interesting performance from these right here. Now, I would say there are probably other wad cutters out there, if you can find some, that probably have a little more energy than these, because these seem extraordinarily weak, and I'm sure they are, just based on the past tests I've done from S&W. All of their stuff just seems weak across the board. But if you're carrying a 32 Smith Wesson Long, this is probably one of the better options, would be this wad cutter, because you got that nice penetration. You don't have to worry about expansion, because I would be willing to bet anything you ain't gonna get no expanding 32 Smith Wesson Long. So while these are definitely not the strongest thing in the book, I think it's a safe bet that if you're running 32 Smith Wesson Long, to go ahead and send these down the barrel. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it right there for what was actually a pretty interesting 32 Smith Wesson Long test. I think this might be the only 32 Smith Wesson Long that I've actually tested, besides maybe running some just lead round nose through this little Taurus when I first got it on a video. No kind of gel testing or ballistics or anything though. Really interesting to see this right here. What I'm mainly curious about now is just how weakly loaded is this stuff. Now, based on their own box ballistics, out of a 6-inch barrel, they're saying, but even that barrel jump, I don't think we would see that. No way. So I would say this stuff is loaded weak, but if y'all have got some other experience with more different brands of wad cutters, let me know down in the comments if you think this stuff is really weak compared to others that you've seen. But that being said, these things actually did a really nice job for what they are and for that level of energy that they're carrying. Nice penetration on it. I figured, you know, with that low energy it would suffer, but then again, going back to it being a flat nose projectile, that definitely helped, and it helped it from not tumbling, so you got the adequate penetration that you needed. So y'all know me, I ain't carrying no 32 Smith Wesson Long, period, unless it's the last thing I own to actually carry. But if I was going to carry this little wad cutter right here is probably one of the better options. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Do any of y'all out there sure enough carry a 32 Smith Wesson Long? I'm not talking about own one and plink with it. I'm talking about, do you seriously carry a 32 Smith Wesson Long EDC for defensive purposes? If you do, what do you carry in it, and what do you think about the performance from this stuff here? If you did enjoy the video, take a second and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn those notifications on, so hopefully you get notified when I upload new stuff. Take a second, like I always ask you, and check out those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you pick up down there really does help out the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, so I really do appreciate that. Big thanks as always to all my range gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got one more test to get done out here if I can keep from freezing, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.